This is called the Omni Dumbbell Press. And we call it Omni because there's 3 different movements involved in the activity. I should start up by saying this is an advanced exercise. So definitely people who have great right to left shoulder balance in both pulling and pushing. They have a pass scratch test, especially for internal rotation. So people are super limited here. I would not be giving this exercise effectively for upper body pushing. And it probably is going to sit in a really great advanced style of an upper body pushing dumbbell activity for a bunch of folks. And the reason why is that we're going to change angles throughout the movement. And what you're going to do is almost like a cluster or a strip set, where as I change the angles, it's going to make it easier for me to do the exercise. So I'm going to go from a challenging angle to a less challenging to the least challenging angle. But I'm going to keep the load the same time the whole time for the press. And I want to be getting to, in a rep sequence, I want to be getting close to fatigue in each of the movements that I'm at with the bench. So just think about that. So if I start here, and I'll just use numbers. If I could start here, and if I did a max of 90 pounds per hand for a double like this, it would make sense mechanically that if I lied flat, I should be able to use 110 pounds for a double. Right, do you see that? So as this bench gets higher, right, as I get more high here, based upon mechanics and how much I have to use in my shoulder blade and where the range of motion is, I can lift less most times going this way, right? That makes sense? Therefore, as the bench lowers and gets further away from me, as it gets back here, I should be lifting more now in this position, right? And then when it goes flat, I should be lifting even more. So in the Omni Dumbbell Press, you're going to use the same dumbbells the whole time, but you're going to take a small break. This is small. You're going to take a small break between changing the bench. So it puts you into a more advantageous position so that you can still pick up the same weight, although you just got slightly tired doing the previous movement, and continue to do more repetitions, right? So I'll take you through a couple of repetitions of each one with these really heavy dumbbells. So this is the starting action. I'll go over the technique and stuff afterwards. So this is the action where I'm going to do 1, and I'm doing 2 repetitions. Let's just say that was my 5th, okay? So I'm going to put the dumbbells down. I'm going to take a second. I'm going to put the bench down a little lower, and I'm going to start doing that same exercise again, except I'm lower now, right? So now I'm doing, just pretend this is 5 and 6 repetitions, right? So I'm done. Put the weights down. Bench goes even lower. And I finish with flat press, right? So imagine that's 5 or 6, right? I'm really tired. The set is done. So you can see that for the person, it has to be a person specifically who has no issues with understanding shoulder kinematics in a dumbbell activity. So what I mean by that is that some individuals who are beginners or don't have that prerequisite balanced strength, they really have no idea where their scapula sits in space in order to do pushing and pulling movements. It's not a wrong thing, it's just motor control for them putting load to their upper body. Because if you want to think about it, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but as humans, we're not supposed to have these massive upper bodies, for the kind of work that we do. We need to get across land and use these legs for endurance to do a lot of stuff that we want to do, okay? So when you propose to teach someone how to do an advanced upper body movement like that, they got to have great mechanics of the shoulders. So what you want to see in all 3 of those positions is for that elbow and humerus to be in what's called a comfortable, individualized scapular plane for that person. I know that sounds complex, but it's not. Just think about that. It's customized, mean that it has to be specific to the person as to where they feel comfortable, right? But it has to be in a plane of action that's not directly out from my body, like a 90-degree angle, and they're not pinned in by my sides, right? It has to be in this comfortable position, which is actually a really great spot for the shoulder to do its work, right? The scapula can rotate effectively. I can get into this retraction and protraction position very comfortably, okay? Then I'm also using the whole shoulder structure and muscles around it effectively. In rep set sequencing, yeah, so you want to choose a load. If you're an advanced person, you'll be able to figure it out very quickly anyways. Or if you have a client who's quite a candidate doing heavy dumbbell press, they're probably going to be using like an 8 to 10 RM weight that they use for dumbbells and doing sets of 4 to 5 of each position. Okay, so if you know someone can do a flat dumbbell press and they're using 70s per hand for 8 to 10, you probably want to be using 65 to 70s for this. For 4 to 5 repetitions, drop the dumbbells, change the bench, come back up. It's about 10 to 15 seconds have passed now. The bench is lower. Do another 4 to 5, drop the weight, put it down flat, and then you're doing your final 4 to 5. Okay? So in rep sequencing, I would specifically, because this is definitely for more advanced person, you want to be in those lower moderate repetition ranges. So I wouldn't do 10, 10, 10 as a drop, and I wouldn't do like 2, 2, 2 as a drop. The 3 to 5 rep range is a sweet spot for this, where when you create that enough of a load, by the time they get 5 here and they drop the weight and you change the angle, that 15 seconds is enough, plus getting to a more advantageous position, right? That 15 seconds is enough that when I get back to here, now it's 15 seconds has passed, but I'm at a more advantageous angle. I will be able to do another 4 or 5 repetitions effectively just based upon that, okay? So whenever you do strip setting, especially for an advanced individual, when they do that, you want to make sure that you have low sets in number, because the main reason behind strip setting is really just to cause confusion to the muscle, right? Because we're hitting it from multiple different angles, especially within the same set. Whenever you have that variability like that in the set, you can't do a bunch of sets of it, okay? So you would not want to do, as an example, what's right, what's wrong. You don't want to do 4 up high, 4 mid-range, 4 flat, and then do 5 to 6 sets of that. That's overkill. Their brain will just have a loss of control for the movement. So best case scenario, it's 2 to 3 total sets when they do that. In a lot of cases, they're going to be either using the same loads across, or they're actually going to drop down a little bit in load per set. And that's generally just due to the overall fatigue of the movement, because it requires, if you think about it, it's an 8 to 10 RM weight, and they have to do 12 repetitions. So 12 repetitions for someone who's more of an advanced trainee or advanced lifter, they're going to get a lot of neural fatigue when they do that activity. Okay? So it's called an Omni Dumbbell bench press. You're gonna go from basically anywhere from a 45 degree to a 20-ish degree angle to a 0 degree angle. Okay, it's flat, 0 degrees, to ensure that you can get those 3 different angles. The more broad differences you have in that, you're going to have a major differential in load, right? So just think of it, if I'm doing a seated straight up position and then 45 degree angle and then 0, that's a massive shift in load. So I'd rather you start in a position that's like this and then just drop a little bit and then just go flat, because you can keep the load the same the whole time, if that makes sense, okay? Recap on reps, make sure they're short, like 3 to 5. Do 3 different positions preferably, because you can keep within those angles, which they're going to be able to do the same amount of force and outcome with it. Keep the sets low. Most rest periods are going to be 90 seconds to 2 minutes between this, or 60 seconds if you're going to do another exercise that complements it, like an upper pulling or a bending activity. Tempo doesn't matter as much, but I'll leave you with something. You want to have an X on the concentric. And you want to have good control on the eccentric. So as long as they have good control of the movement and they push powerfully in the opposite direction, that's a great tempo to work with, and I'll allow you to be creative on that when you do it. Okay, that's the Omni Grip dumbbell press, mainly for advanced users who have great right to left balance and are good with dumbbells. It'll be a great challenge for them in their upper body pushing program.